Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So here's an update on my recent Shaddoll deck profile. If you saw it last month, as y'all know, I decided to buy 3 Shaddoll Showdown structure decks, which I kind of got for free really, only because I sold in a bunch of cards for store credit. And I figured, you know what, since I didn't really have to pay a penny out of pocket, might as well just take full advantage of that. But anyway, I decided to reconstruct my deck a little bit more, try to work around my ratios to try to see what's the best way to play the deck. Even in this format, because this deck is highly this format, I'm sorry, is very diverse. We got a lot of rogue strategies. Spiral's top tier, Salamangre's still top tier. Even the Invoked Shaddoll variant is top tier, but I still personally prefer the pure Shaddoll build because to me it's not as susceptible to hand traps as the Invoked Shaddoll version. Because yeah, the Invoked Shaddoll, even though it is very powerful, it's absurdly strong for what it is. It does suffer more problems than this one does, at least in my opinion. Because Droll Lockbird kills that deck a lot more than it does the pure variant. Because pure Shadolls get more advantage by sending their cards into the graveyard rather than just keep searching like the Invoke variant can do. So that's why I feel like the pure variant is slightly better in some ways. So it just really depends on preference and really just how you feel about which version do you like better. And plus with the pure variant, I like to be a little bit more creative with it too. So that's why I like to play it the way it is. So anyway, figured I'd just show you what my decks got this time around. Still 40 cards in the main deck. I might try out that 60 card variant that came out recently. I mean, it did look like a lot of fun, but we'll just have to wait and see in the future. But anyway, I figured I'd just go ahead and show you what I got now. So starting off with the main deck, playing 3 copies of Shaddoll Wendy. Some people play 2. I personally like 3 because this is the card that basically enables everything. It's basically what makes Shaddolls so much better now. And just much more playable than it used to, than it was for a while. So, yeah, Shaddoll Wendy is definitely an amazing card. I really love what this card can do. Playing 2 copies of Squad. Honestly, now that we do have Shaddoll Wendy, I feel like you don't even have to run this at 3 anymore. 2 is more than enough, honestly. You could still run it at 3, you know. Just depends on how you want to go about it. But yeah, 3 Squamata is just fine because, you know, he dumps another Shaddoll monster. And he can also pop cards if he's flip summoned. So, yeah. 2 Shaddoll Hedgehog does a search whether it's flipped or sent to the grave. If it's flipped, you get to search a spell or trap. If it's sent to the graveyard, you search out a monster. So Hedgehog's just a really good way to generate some advantage. 2 Beasts for draw power. Some people cut this down to 1. I still like it at 2 just because, you know, I always love to have the ability to fix up my hands too. And plus, if you use this flip effect where you draw 2 and discard 1, the discard is not cost, so you can still trigger off more Shaddoll effects if you need to. So that's pretty nice. For the 1-ups, one Shaddoll Dragon, I'm sorry, pops spells and traps if it's into the grave. If it's flipped, you get to bounce back a monster. Or actually, any card really. So, yeah, Shaddoll Dragon's still pretty good. Just keep in mind it does target, so just be watchful for that. 1 Falco for the grind game. It's really good, you know. The fact that it brings itself back and can also revive your Shaddoll monsters if it's flip summoned, so figured why not. Of course, 1 Ariel. This card is really nuts. Some people didn't like it at first. First glance. I mean, even I didn't like it when I first saw the reveal for it. But when I saw its potential, I was like, holy crap, this card's actually better than I thought it was. It's a 3-in-1 DD Crow. You can also bring back your banished Shaddoll monsters, which, you know, you will have to banish some Shaddoll monsters from time to time. So I figured, you know what? I take it back. Ariel's actually a really amazing card. So, yeah. Definitely something to look into. Alright, so that's it for the Shaddolls. Now moving on to my side packages. 3 Mathematician. This is actually my main normal summon of the deck. It just dumps any level 4 or lower monster if it's normal summon. And the fact that it's an earth monster, it's a good way to dodge cards like Infinite Impermanence, like with Shaddoll Fusion. So if you have a Shaddoll monster in hand, you normal summon this, your opponent will try to cancel that card out. You can just go Shaddoll Fusion, make a Sheki Naga. But overall, Mathematician is just essentially Foolish Burial for this deck. And another good thing is that if it's destroyed by value, you get to draw 1 card, so that's neat too. But of course, I'm also running the Clown package, 2 Damage Juggler. I was running it only at 1, but now I've kind of missed that second one, so bringing it up to 2. 1 Hat Trigger as a free body, and Trick Clown, you know. You definitely need some good extenders, so that we can get into cards like Cross Sheep and so on. So, yeah, definitely amazing packages. I'm not going to bother running Armageddon Knight just because it only focuses on dark monsters, where Mathematician can send pretty much anything I want into the grave. So yeah, Mathematician to me is just slightly better. For hand traps, I'm only running the 3, just 3 copies of Ash. I was running Ghost Ogre for a bit. I might do that again later, like run 2 Ash and 2 Ogre. Right now, I'm just kind of, like I said, toying around with the ratios. So, yeah, like, I'm still experimenting with different ways to play this deck, and honestly, I think 3 Ash is just fine. I could, like I said, I could always put back Ghost Ogre if I ever wanted to, just because, like, Ghost Ogre is really good this format. For the spells, running triple Shaddoll Fusion. Still an amazing card. Just watch out for Ash Blossom yourself, because, you know, Ash can stop this card. 3 Shaddoll Fusion. I really like this card a lot better than the normal Shaddoll Fusion. In fact, almost every duel I've played with this deck, I always like Shaddoll Fusion a lot more than the regular Shaddoll Fusion. Just because, you know, it's quick play, and you don't even have to use it on your own turn. You can actually set this during your own turn, wait till your opponent's turn, and you can potentially spring an Shaddoll window against your opponent, and essentially just locking them out. An Shaddoll window by itself could essentially win you games, so yeah, Shaddoll Fusion, it's a really busted card. Next, 3 Super Poly. Definitely a good way just to, you know, your opponent can't respond to it, and also the fact that you can break boards with it, so... And just about all your Shaddoll Fusion monsters are Super Poly targets. Now, of course, I do have some other generic Super Poly targets for it, just, you know, to deal with this format. They may not stay in there for too long, just, again, I'm still determining whether or not I like them or not, so we'll just have to wait and see. 3 Called by the Grave. You definitely need it just to let your combos go through. You don't want to get ashed. Drone Lockbird's okay. I mean, like I said, the pure variant is not as affected as the Shaddoll or the Invoked variant. So yeah, like Called by the Grave to me is just like a good way to stop like specific hand traps like Ogre, Ash, Valor, DD Crow. Even, you know, you don't want those cards to hit you. And it's also pretty good against the mirror match too. So just bear that in mind. For 1-ofs, I'm running Neff Shaddoll Fusion. I wasn't playing this originally, only in the budget version, but the reason I'm bringing it back in my build is because Neff Shaddoll Fusion actually does come in clutch when you need it, especially the fact that you can declare an attribute, change that Shaddoll monster's attribute, and then you can fusion summon it using this card. So it's just a good way to, like, it's just another good way to access a fusion card, since, you know, this deck is primarily a fusion deck, so you need to rely heavily on your fusion cards. So that's why I'm running it at all, honestly. 1 Pot of Avarice for Recursion, Foolish Burial, and of course for my traps, 2 Rest Shaddoll Incarnation, and let's not forget Shaddoll Core. Okay, so now moving on to the extra deck. Just give me 1 second here. Alright. For the extra deck, I'm running 3 copies of Shaddoll Construct. Definitely one of my favorite fusion monsters. It's the ultimate Foolish Burial. Even Squamata himself is also an ultimate Foolish Burial. But also the fact that this card recurs all your spells and traps, or even your monster cards too, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, never mind, just Shaddoll spells and traps if it leaves the grave. But yeah, like Shaddoll Construct, definitely a good way to get your combos started. Especially like it's a light monster, so like let's say you're up against Spirals, you Super Poly that Spiral Sleeper, make this with one of your Shaddoll monsters, and boom, you're good. 2 Winda, just because, you know, it's a dark monster, and the fact that it's easy to bring out too. And it locks out your opponent from special summoning too many monsters too, so it's a good way just to, like, slow down the game and just kind of take control from there. I'm running Shaddoll Amp Clone only at 1 this time. I was running it at 2 originally, but I felt like 2 was kind of overkill, so I think 1 is more than enough. And again, if it gets banished at any given point, Arrow could easily bring this card back, so I never really lose it for good. But maybe there will be a point where I will miss the second one and decide to bring back the second one, so we'll just have to wait. 1 Shaddoll Shekinaga. Some people have cut this. I think you should still run it. I mean, it's an Earth monster. People forget that Trigate Wizard is actually an Earth attribute monster, not a Dark monster. Same thing with Spiral Double Helix. It's Earth, so yeah, definitely something to look into. 1 Shaddoll Grista for the Salamangreat matchups. You know, it's a fire deck, so might as well. For the generic Super Poly targets, 1 Starving Venom. You know, we still have dark decks out there. And this is also against the Spiral board. You know, they have Appaloosa, Trigate, and of course Nightmare Phoenix. I just like to overkill with the Armorduke, just because, you know, yeah, you just basically take away 3 of their best 3 of their negates or protection effects rather, and then just like essentially solve their board. Because really the only thing that's going to stand in your way is going to be the sleeper, and honestly, if you can bounce that back, it really shouldn't be a problem. So yeah, Armorduke's definitely something to look into. Eventually I'll get my hands on that Agnister Earth monster, the Earth Golem Agnister, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'll definitely use that instead, but for now I just like this card a little bit more. Alright, so that's it for the fusions. For links, I'm running Cross Sheep. I do have a second one, but I think one is just fine, honestly. Shaddol Construct, thanks to Shaddol Wendy, this card is actually a lot more playable too, so yeah, I definitely like, that's one of the reasons why I like Wendy so much, because she enables this card to actually be made a lot more consistently. One Gravity Controller, you know, it's basically Neospatian Grand Moles, so yeah, definitely something to look into. One BOS, if you don't have access to this card, you can actually run Nightmare Unicorn instead, or any other generic Link 3. I'm just running it because it's so easy to make, especially if you have Shaddoll Construct being out, you know, you can just use her as material, and then just make this card where it can't be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And the card that I really wanted to try out is Link Mail Archfiend. So Link Mail Archfiend, so here's how this card works. To summon it, you just need 2+ monsters, including a Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, or an Xyz monster, so it can be whatever one you want, just as long as you have one as a Link material. So when this card is special summoned, and again, special summoned, you can target one Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, or Xyz monster in your graveyard, and all monsters your opponent controls lose attack points equal to that targeted monster's attack points. So you can essentially target Shaddoll Construct and just essentially do the underclock taker effect that doesn't target. So, and this affects all your opponent's monsters. And this also outs the Shaddoll Construct mirror match, because, you know, since you can only destroy special summon monsters with their effects, you can just normal summon one monster, attack over it, and boom, you're set to go. And also, this card has built-in protection where if it were to be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish one of the following types of monsters in your graveyard instead, and that's really not hard to do. And also, what's neat about this card is that special summon monsters from the extra deck cannot be targeted with monster effects. So it's a good way just to avoid like Sleeper, for example. You know, Sleeper targets cards, so he can't really target your monsters with those. So yeah, Link Mail Archfiend, definitely something to try out. I can't really talk today. I'm sorry, guys. Alright. For the side deck, it's pretty self-explanatory. 3 Joyland Lockbird, you know, for certain matchups. 2 Nibiru. I'm also running the Dark Ruler No More against like the combo heavy strategies that have like multiple negates. Double Cosmic Cyclone. Evenly Matched. Royal Decree, and of course the 1 Red Reboot. Really wish this card was at 3 because this card's a lot faster than Royal Decree, but it is a very oppressive card, so I can see why they decided to limit this, but again, I'm hoping we can get at least 2 or 3 back. So, yeah. Alright, well, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile, and I will catch you guys again next time.